Welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast with Jacob Ayers, providing actionable content to help you along your journey to financial freedom through real estate investing. As the premier asset class, real estate has helped ordinary people just like you amass fortunes. The benefits of passive income from real estate investing will allow you to live a life you want. And now your host, entrepreneur, real estate investor, and apartment deal syndicator, Jacob Ayers.
Hi, and welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast, episode 84. You're listening to Friday Fundamentals with your host, Jacob Ayers. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode. I'm so glad you're here, and I am excited for today's topic. But first, I want to let you know that we still have a little bit of awesome apparel to give away. If you're interested in that, send a screenshot of a rating and review to info@jacobayers.com, and I will send you a gift in return. Now, today's topic stems from a conversation I was having with a listener, Ernest DeSapatino, over at New Formula Real Estate. Ernest and I were talking about the sacrifices it takes to be great, and it got my mind working on what exactly it takes to become, let's say, extraordinary. Well, have you ever thought about the word extraordinary? The root of the word is ordinary. By definition, ordinary means with no special or distinctive features. Normal. Then what does extraordinary mean? Extraordinary. Does that mean extra normal? Doesn't really make sense, does it? But nothing about being extraordinary is normal. In fact, to become extraordinary, one must be not normal. But enough on that tangent for a minute. Let's jump into today's Friday Fundamental. Today's Friday Fundamental is say no so you can say yes. This may sound a bit like an oxymoron or even ironic. Say no so you can say yes? Well, what does that mean? Well, let's break it down. Every time you say yes to something, you say no to something else. For example, if you decide to go to happy hour after work with your friends, then you are saying no to running that 5K you had planned for the same evening. If you say yes to that conference in Orlando this summer, then you are saying no to touring wine country with your old college roommates that same weekend. For every time you say no to something, you give yourself the opportunity to say yes to something else, either more important or less important. So, what do you say yes to? It's up to you, but those things that you say yes to will determine if you're on an ordinary path or an extraordinary path. Remember, to be extraordinary, one must not be normal. So what exactly does that mean, to not be normal? It's a bit abstract, but I like to think of it as the opposite of what most people do. There are many facets of life which can be labeled normal, just a few including investing in a traditional retirement account, only learning and growing one's knowledge until they have a degree or certification, leveraging debt to buy a new vehicle every few years, not taking as good of care of one's body as they should, taking one vacation a year and stretching dollars to make it work. These are all normal things. You have to break out of normal if you're ever going to achieve the extraordinary. Ignore the pressures of society to follow the pack. Do what others won't now so that you can do what others can't later. So what's your path to extraordinary? I encourage you to critique your decisions over the next week and then reflect on what you said yes and no to. Don't settle for mediocrity. Decide how you are going to live your life. Say yes to the important things and don't think twice about saying no to the unimportant things. Be extraordinary. That wraps up this week's episode of Friday Fundamentals. I hope you liked today's show. If so, please leave a rating and review on whichever platform you're listening on. Till next week, signing off, I'm your host, Jacob Ayers.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast, providing you actionable content to build your real estate empire. Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for personal advice. The opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have a potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom, LLC, exclusively.